So now that we're back and you're up to date on this, you know, the Titanic of an engine, it being an LQ9, flat tops, full floating pistons. I think I went over that whole spiel in the last video. But we got to tear this thing down, get the pistons out, hone the cylinders, put a new set of rings in, gap the rings, clean it up, and get it ready for... The only thing the customer cares about is he wants it to make turbo noises and shoot fire, which is pretty typical. Which is cool for me. We're going to do the exhaust exit headers. If I even do headers, it's probably just going to get flipped over manifolds to save money. Kind of a tight budget, but more budget than I usually get to deal with, so it'll be pretty good on that. We got a 4L80 automatic transmission that I got to tear the pan off and see if it's any good. We already have that. We're going to run, I got it right there, our pile of parts. We got a Terminator X Max setup. So that should make tuning really easy, and it won't matter what cam or anything I want to run. So my plan is to get this thing running and driving. He really wants it for Willward at the end of August. It is almost the end of July, so that really is just a matter of parts at that point. But I'm going to give this guy like 600 plus horsepower on a car with an open diff highway gear with 4-wheel drum brakes and a single pot master cylinder. So this either has to go off their books, or I'm going to have to make this guy sign a waiver. I just noticed it's got the original air cleaner cover, which Wildcat 310 stands for 310 foot-pounds of torque. Probably at 1,000 RPMs, and then with a 2-speed it would shift and you'd be out of power at like 50. Which is why they probably tried to blow the rods out of the bottom of this. So, tranning, motor, electrical upgrade, cooling upgrade. Probably ditch these or chop them up a lot. I've never converted a Buick to an LS, so I'm not quite sure on the mounting, but this is just basically a A-body GM or a Chevelle. So we're just going to treat this thing like a Chevelle and order all the parts for Chevelles or Impalas, depending on what fits. So we'll get a radiator for a Chevelle. I'll get the motor mounts for a Chevelle. Those are really only the specific things to Buicks, and that's only because the radiator hoses might be different. But that on the driver's side, actually that's on the passenger side, so that works out great for me. That actually is great too, so maybe we could cut some costs, well, cut some labor and just go with a Buick radiator. But we're gonna get this thing on the lift, drain the fluids. Since this guy has to have an intercooler, which I see there's plenty of room for that, we got to pull the grill assembly off. Looks like I don't really have to pull the bumper off. Might just do that just for easeability. And the hood and the tires, just so I don't hit my head on the tires when it's in the air, because I am 6'4", and this only lifts it up right to tire height. So let's get the lift under and start cracking. With the car up in the air, disappointingly, not a Turbo 400 transmission, but next best thing, Turbo 350 transmission, which makes it easier to put in a hot rod. Because let's face it, that 300 is never going to make a bunch of power to be needing a 400. But it's leaking everywhere. And this car is definitely not as nice on the bottom as it is on the top. Floors are shot. They've been riveted back in. Brake lines are, yeah, they're there. The fuel tank mounting area is not in that great a shape, particularly right there. And there's actually nothing here. Easy fixes. Little teeny, actually not teeny, big stupid pancake fuel tank, which we can't really use because we need to put some kind of fuel injected tank in it. So we put a nice custom dual exhaust on it, but too bad they decided 1-inch pipe is good enough. Toothpick her in. We're gonna snap that rear end like it is a toothpick. I'm surprised they don't have air shocks in it. Just found a date code on these tires. 2005. But they're brand new from 2005. But now that it's in the air, you can see, to me, those look just like small block Chevy motor mounts. Well, obviously the mount part isn't, but the base looks like regular Chevy. For the four-wheel drums. Yeah, I love drums. But other than that, it's in, for how old it is, in a Michigan car. It's not a Michigan car, but it's in Michigan, so Michigan, it's been in Michigan for at least 3 years, so it's actually pretty good shape for that. But I think our time is going to go toward this engine for now. So we'll go back to tearing this thing apart, clean it all up. Let's see what we have to work with.
So from this point forward, I don't have a lot of video of putting this motor together because I ran out of time and patience, and I really just needed to get this engine together. This ended up taking weeks to get the parts and get a plan together, because this was really destroying the little budget that I had for this build. We ended up reusing the crank, the rods, and the pistons out of the LQ9 and installed them into this used LQ4 engine after honing them to spec. Well, not to spec, just honing them out to where they actually had a nice crosshatch and looked pretty good. We put fresh rings in it and gapped it for boost. We ended up reusing the rod bolts as well as reusing the main cap bolt just to save money, because that's not where the weakness is in the LS blocks. They were all torque to spec. I don't have it on camera, but I assure you it's torque to spec. If they're not, I don't have to answer you, I just have to answer the customer, but I assure you they're good.
Of course, we're going to go with a milling pump because I'm not taking that chance. This is an M295, which is, I don't know, I ordered this thing a while back. I'm assuming my thought pattern was this is for the later model displacement on demand with variable valve timing, which automatically got a high volume pump. So I'm assuming that's what this is. I'm not going to look it up, but whatever. It's a high volume pump. We're going to put it on, and we are going to use feeler gauges like we're supposed to. And we'll get this piece of high-tech machinery on. Yes, just like that.
Now, some people say this isn't important because it's kind of self-aligning, but I like doing this for my own peace of mind. And honestly, these voiceovers are only because I'm cranking probably some really bad 80s new wave in the background, and I don't want anybody to know what I listen to. And in the last video, I switched to time-lapse and just put generic music in the background, and I noticed a sharp drop in audience attendance, so now you get to listen to my soothing, deep voice from now on. And now I'm just installing some generic Phil-Pro 3-layer MLS gaskets with some Chinese head studs. This is actually my experiment to see how much worse they were compared to ARPs, and other than the short bolts being too short, I didn't snap any, and they torqued to spec. I used ARP lube, you know, the moly grease, just as a insurance factor, but I'm okay with using these studs for the horsepower that I plan on running. And now you could see me fight with an expired can of cheap discount paint, and it got everywhere and was the biggest pain, but it was $1 a can. How could I resist?
Well, it's been a minute since we've been here. My fault, 100%. It is now winter. It's not quite winter. I think it's still considered fall out. But the trees have changed colors. Halloween happened 2 days ago. The Skylark is still in the air on the lift, but the engine is complete. The long block is 100% complete. Complete with a fresh corporate blue paint job. Should have went with the actual Buick color, which was a greenish, a light green. But this paint was a lot cheaper. But just to summarize what this is the LQ9 Cadillac engine that we've been rebuilding. You know, just a 6-liter higher compression, 6-liter iron block with 317 heads, flat top pistons, stock LQ9 camshaft. Nothing really special, just a stock engine with fresh bearings, fresh rings. The rings are gapped for boost at 27 thousandths of an inch. I think I got it 25 for the upper and 27 for the lower. I have it written down, not that important. They are gapped for boost. We have our Amazon special engine plate, which I finally bought because that thing which is just a modified carburetor plate, doesn't give you the angle you need to put it in with the transmission. I'm going to bolt the engine mounts, which I need to find. I think they're up on a box on top of the bathroom. I need to bolt the plates so I can put the we're gonna go with the 69 Z28, not clamshells, but the not solid either. The older school mounts that mount the rubber to the engine instead of the clamshells being on the frame, because this is set up with, I'm not sure what you call this style, but these were for the Buick 300, which in the last video I described the motor that was in this car as being a nail head. After doing some research, because I was going to put that motor in the Willys pickup truck, the yellow guy right there, just for fun, as a cool little hot rod old school build, I learned that the Buick 300 is not a nail head. It's actually, well, it isn't, but it's the motor that Land Rover or Range Rover copied. Not copied, they actually took the whole design and made their whole V8 system off of that, which is the one that they put aluminum heads on, which would be cool to find a set of aluminum heads because they apparently bolt onto those and then use it. But if I'm going to play with a little teeny cubic inch, I'm going to get like an old school 294 baby Hemi out of DeSoto, because I actually know where one of those is, instead of dealing with a baby Buick. So now I got, my opinion, a boat anchor in the storage I got to get rid of. So if anybody's looking for a Buick 300, let me know. Has a matching turbo 350 transmission to it. But now that that's cleared up for no reason, we are going to get the mounts on this, get the 4L80 transmission, which you can't see it, but it's right there on a cart, bolted to this, which means I need to find my flux plate, because I'm hoping to just put it all together once and never take it apart. But I think I'm just gonna mock it up real quick, pull it apart, and do all the stuff I need to do, because that would take a lot of stress off of me, because I know the things I got to build are a transmission cross member, and I don't know where I'm actually going to sit the motor in relation to the firewall and the radiator support. Obviously as far back as I can,
but I know the 480 might not clear the bell housing, and I'm not afraid to cut the crap out of the bell housing on this, not the bell housing, the trans tunnel and the firewall, just because sheet metal work is easier than having to deal with radiator fitment, and I still got to put an intercooler and stuff in front of it, so I don't want to sacrifice clearance for
clearance.
You'll understand once I get it in the car. And I'd like to get in the car so I can figure out the intake situation and the accessory drive situation, because this project is about 3 months overdue. But I'd like to get this in the car mocked up with the exhaust manifolds and turbos so I can take a fancy picture of it sitting in the engine bay with the war whistles bolted on for motivation, inspiration. Yeah, we'll go with that. So let's get these bolted on, and then I got to get the drift car out of here, which means I need to move some stuff over there. And again, any day now we could expect snow. We could get hit with a, it would be weird for it to snow right now, but we could get hit with a storm any day and get snow on the ground, and then we might not be able to bring the fancy cars outside until April. Oh, that's depressing. Why did I move here? We're skipping ahead a bit. I already tried to test fit it because time, but it didn't work. Very clear that the Buick mounts are for a very small engine with a very small V. I can't tell from the back. With a very small V. Obviously, I'll have to look that up. I'm pretty sure they're all 90-degree V8s, but apparently they mount them, I don't know, must be a really short block. Don't know. Doesn't work with the 69 Z28 Camaro mounts with the Amazon adapters, which the part number on those is 602-1107. They're only 20 bucks a piece. The difference between these and the older style is these have the positive interlock. So now we are taking the mounts loose, and we're just going to bolt those to the block and then put it in and see where we need to re-drill the holes in the frame and hope that there's enough. It doesn't matter if there's enough area, we'll figure it out. Enough drilling and welding, we can do anything we want. I don't know how this is going to show up. It looks like it's going to show up just fine. So even though it's 2 holes, don't worry about the bottom ones. The top ones are where we need it. You can see how much higher we had to go. We pushed it forward to this side. It's way up on top there. Yep. So we're just going to drill, lay the mounts down, which I don't think I showed these mounted. So we just put these right on. They're a little loose, so I have to make spacers for the sides. And we're just going to lay these on there, line them up with our lines, punch them out, and just drill them. It's just thin frame steel, so it shouldn't take too long.
That's where the wrench goes.
That's the only reason, because I wasn't going to fuck with it. That's where the wrench goes.
Yeah. And the horse finally crosses the finish line. So it's technically mounted. We're going to swap out those bolts because they weren't right with the Buick engine and they're still not right with the LS engine. They need to be shorter. Pretty sure they're just small block Chevy head bolts. But we'll just go to the hardware store and get some grade 8 bolts the right size and they'll be fine. But we got the 2x4 holding in the angle that I think I like it at. And we're going to get in the air and check the clearances and definitely call it for the night. Well, we could definitely probably lower the engine because it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get the lots of room here. It's almost, if I'm not going to do it, but we could have almost slid the motor over. And a set of truck manifolds would fit this thing perfectly. But the problem on these is the oil pan, the tie rod clearance, but obviously we have a ton of that. Yeah, lots of clearance. It's really hard to turn. But we don't want it much lower because we won't have any clearance for the turbo drains. But as you can see, my motor mount idea worked. And these are just, you know, off the shelf $20 motor mounts, so we could slide the motor forward into the next holes, and that would probably give us enough transmission clearance. So the only problem is right here. Which already has been bashed on. It's such a stupid little nub sticking out. I mean, it's not like these floorboards are any good, which makes it really tough to weld on them. Because, yeah, probably just beat the shit out of it with a hammer. Just noticing that how tall these mounts are. Can almost just cut them and re-weld them. Don't really want to put that kind of time into this. In that part of it anyway. So, we're gonna clean up and we'll get back at it tomorrow. But, big step, got the engine installed. Kinda. As promised, this is the next day. We are, it's night, so got a really late start. You know, hot rod shop, not quite priority. I did what I said. I went across the street to the R&M transmissions, and they did have a core case, a damaged case that we can use as mock-up 4L80. That's 4L80E. Just a gutted transmission has a broken case. Doesn't matter. We have it bolted up in here, and as we thought, the bell housing hits pretty badly. Not as bad as we thought. You know, we got it actually bolted in, 2 bolts. But it's not quite good enough. Why don't you pick it up? It's actually level. No, it's not level. It's pretty bad. We need to go almost another 2 inches. So we are going to drop the motor mounts because they're too tall. We don't need all this clearance. You know, we have that much oil pan clearance. We have a ton of clearance on the front tie rods. So I think if we just cheat these, probably half inch. Pull a 1/2 inch out of these and just weld them back together. I think we'll be fine. So as much fun as it is to cut these, to replace these remove these motor mounts, we'll probably just unbolt the motor, pull the motor out, chop them in it, cut it an inch out of the top part, and then lower it down and tack it back together. I just fold these in. So this is where we ended up. Looks like we dropped it, I don't know, 1/2 inch, which according to Jeff's math, we needed 5/8, so I don't think we quite have that. But it looks really good right here. Looks like we actually did gain some clearance. It kind of looks like the motor went forward a little bit, which is impossible. But maybe because of the offset of the mounts, I don't know. We like it like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and tack them in.
Tag them in and then try it.
And try it with the transmission core, and then pull it all out and weld it solid.
Gotta love rust. Another day in the shop. Got some time to work on the Skylark.
We have the car back on the ground, so I can start mocking up the manifolds, which the plan was to run these $200 Amazon eBay specials with the V-band on them already. Obviously this sticks out way too far, and if I'm gonna run these, I'm gonna chop this off and move it here, because we don't need that extra 5 inches. But the passenger side proved to be problematic. Which I really didn't think these forward-facing turbo headers would have a problem, but so we had that interference problem with the steering shaft right there in kind of a big way. Now I think I could just dimple the header, but I'm gonna have to dimple it pretty severe, which I know on this particular setup isn't gonna affect horsepower in pretty much any way, because we're already running these giant like 1 5/8 primaries. But Jeff's over here playing with these factory truck manifolds, which fit on the car perfectly. It would save us a lot of time. And the cast iron, or they're not iron, these are cast steel, which makes it really easy to weld stainless pipe to. So we'd weld some flanges to it, throw them in the blasting cabinet, paint them with some high temperature ceramic paint.
They'll look okay. So I think we're gonna mock those up,
run them forward, and see what it looks like with a couple of hair dryers on both sides.
Okay, after a lot of cutting and grinding, actually not that much grinding,
got the manifolds on, flipped over, and I hate it. It's very functional.
it's very form over function. No, sorry, the opposite of that. It's very function over form. This would work, and I might do this in the future on one of my own projects, but for this, I don't think so.
So I have these Evo Energy Amazon special 2.5 inch, actually I don't even know if these are 2.5, whatever these are, V-bands, and I mean this would work great right there with the turbo hanging off of it. This side, obviously I'd have to do this, then it would come off on a 90. Here it's like that would work great. The exhaust out would go underneath this manifold right here. It would go through here because we're just going to dump it We're gonna cut this out. We're gonna dump it right out the fender. So that would work. It's just gonna look kinda hoopty. It doesn't quite work as well. Like, I would have to do this, and it would have to be way down here to make it do that 90. Or I guess like this would be what, but do you see how much higher this would be than the other side? Like, I guess that would be the happy medium, and reclock this. So I was looking at pictures of other people who have done that, and yeah, I'll show a picture of it right now. This is a guy who was selling a kit in 2014 on the forums, and you could see that he just cut it here and then replaced all that with stainless to make it mimic that, which would work. But I'm back to using these because I have them and they're a lot prettier and they're going to sound a lot better. Again, I can hear iron manifolds for miles away. Okay, maybe not miles, but I can always tell when they have iron manifolds on because since they share runners, they just kind of have that tractor sound to them. Which is why I try not to run open exhaust manifolds on the street, because I just hate the sound. It just sound ratty and tractory, especially with a stock cam. It might sound better without a stock cam, but it's got a stock cam. The turbos will muffle it a little bit, but I've already pulled the steering column loose, which still doesn't even move, which is incredible. And I'm going to see what I have to do to this header to get it to clear. And after a lot of pounding and heating and pounding and a lot more hitting with a hammer, we're back to I don't know if I ever showed you guys the tubular headers, the $157 Amazon specials. And the problem with this was that steering shaft, which we heated up and bent. I mean, this thing has these giant primaries, like I was saying, and we had this head over here to show that they are not needed for a stock 317 D-port exhaust head. And we know that doesn't cause any performance issues, but I definitely had to beat the crap out of it. We could have, if you actually cut the trans tunnel and lift the motor up with the mounts we had when we started with, it would have cleared that for a lot. But it would have put the header closer to the master cylinder, which I'm going to have to make an aluminum shield. Now I have this fear that that plastic coupling is too close. So I'll wrap that in something, probably make an aluminum shield for that. But other than these are really bad quality, well, the welds are good and the pipes thick. These are stainless pipe, and the B-bands I think are stainless, but I know the flanges are just coated mild steel, which the area that you really want to be stainless is not stainless. And if you look, I don't know if it shows up on camera. No, I don't think it does. But that one is up almost an inch higher than that side. But we're cutting off the fronts anyways because these are just too long. I'm going to put this here. And that's where the turbo is going to be, because there's lots of room in that area. So tomorrow I'm going to put the accessory drive in. I ordered a bunch of pipe, 3-inch pipe and new V-band, so we'll move that. And we're going to get the transmission mounted in permanently. Well, we're going to make permanent mounts so we can permanently put a transmission in. But we also have the headers cut up with the shortened, remember they were here. Oh, and the accessory drive is on. It's the ugly truck stuff. I had some aftermarket brackets. But this is just, it slightly relocates the alternator off to the side of the engine, but it offsets it over here. Like it actually drops the alternator right where this turbo is, which would be great, except for the turbo headers that don't fit nothing. So
I should probably cut that off.
yeah, no, well, that's going to be tough to neck down into the flange, but see, it fits the T3 flange a lot better. And I'd say we just heat it up and try to expand it out, but you ain't expanding this 1/8 inch wall 3/16 stainless. Like that is, you're not doing much with that. I might just have to buy the actual adapter plates that adapt the 3-inch V-band down to a T3 flange. I looked them up before, but all I could find was T4 flanges, but I didn't really look that hard because I was only looking at stuff that was quick shipping. Yeah, guess I'll do a little more research, see what I can come up with. But we're running out of real estate really fast.
Well, here we are again. Way behind on videos, neglecting the channel. But I'm going to give an update because now it is officially 2026. We've been in the shop over a year. This is actually supposed to be an update on where we are on the Skylark. So this is actually probably going to be, I don't know where I'm going to be at this point, but if you're seeing this, cool. I posted enough videos to get to this point. So this is where we're at, because I actually just posted a video yesterday showing this car on the channel for the first time. And it was supposed to be done by Willward, the Woodward Cruise in Detroit, which I can't even remember when it was. I think it was in early September, and now it's January 3rd. It's still here. But look at this thing. And I don't have a lot of video of getting it to this far because honestly, I kind of started to panic on not getting this done. I'm still kind of panicking. But let me give a quick update. That's not going to be quick. Let me give an update. The turbos are mounted. I don't know if I have footage of that yet, but the turbos are mounted. These are the these are the Amazon specials. These are GT35 clones. You know, they're turbochargers, but they're clones of GT3582s. I'm not quite sure on the size of these. I think they're 63 millimeter. Again, I'm learning as I go on this, but it's dual 63s, so it's not a very efficient setup. But again, this is mostly for show. It'll definitely have a lot of power. It's just going to be probably early. It's going to come on really fast, and with the 6-liter, it probably might. This thing doesn't have a cam in it, so it'll never get to the higher RPMs that these turbos will probably peak at. So hopefully we don't over rev the turbos. But we used the Amazon, eBay front dump headers that used to be here that we cut down, and we pie cutted some stainless
and the stainless came from Pitches. Piping, but it's 3/16 food grade. I just want to talk about how thick this stuff is. But this 3-inch stuff is pretty sweet, and they have so much more of it that we're probably going to go get more after this. Which is where most of the parts for this shop came from, which is a used equipment / supply. Like they do demos of buildings, and they have a shop where they sell used building supplies. So they had an absolute crap ton of stainless steel from a hospital or a brewery, I don't know, but it was 316L stainless steel, which is what most of this pipe is. We have the intercooler mounted, which is a big deal. This is a dual in on the bottom and a single 3-inch out going through the radiator support, through this into there. So that's actually plumbed up. It just needs to be final weld. We have the bottom, that pipe for this side, this other hot side done, but we were fitting the inner fender in. This was the mock, this was the first one, which we realized how to do it, so we're welding that back together because this side came out a lot better. We ended up finally getting the fender exits. I know a lot of people are going to give me a lot of shit for this, but I like it. Buicks are used to having scallops right there anyways, but don't feel too bad about wrecking these fenders because these fenders are already wrecked. Not quite sure what we're going to do with that area, but it's fine. We did manage to get it to all to clear the hood. We pulled the big, I think a 130 amp truck alternator off and put the smaller 110 amp to get it to clear the hood. We're still running the Trailblazer SS intake, which is not really the Trailblazer SS, it's just Gen 4 intake, but everybody calls it the SS intake, don't care. Got the 80-pound injectors installed with the spacers. Got the lower radiator hose kind of mocked up. Not the prettiest thing, but it'll work. Not quite sure what I'm going to do for the upper hose because I don't want to spend the $200 on an LS1 water pump. And this is pointed directly into this, so I don't think I'm going to have much of a choice but to buy the $200 LS1 water pump, which I'm not going to buy it. The owner's going to buy it, but I'd have to this is a very strict budget. I have this all itemized, and I did not have water pump on that list. So I'd have to pull the money from somewhere else to pay for the water pump. Which, again, shouldn't be my problem, but I'm the one who came up with the budget, so I need to stick to it. Because I don't want to get too much more further on this without getting some kind of update video, because from this point out, I'm going to be better at this, because I wasn't even sure if I was going to start a build video on this car because of how many problems we've had with parts fitting. How tight the intercooler was going to fit, how bad the radiator fit. Like we actually had to cut most of the radiator support out and bent new steel to compensate for it because this radiator is for a Chevelle, not a Buick, because I couldn't actually find a radiator for a 64 Buick, but I could find one for a 64 Chevelle, and now it's 64 Chevelle. But the transmission is mounted, and this, wait, where was I going with this? I got sidetracked. So that fit like crap, but it fits really good now. Then we didn't realize how tight the turbos were going to be, so we had to learn how to pie cut, which Jeff learned how to pie cut. So that's our first attempt at pie cutting, so I'm okay with how those look. The Mohawk lift working great, by the way. So here's a big one. This one drove me nuts for like, I don't know, a week because I had to keep ordering very expensive fittings. Was the turbo drain lines, which I bought the 302-3 clone pan with the fittings built into them, but they just happened to fall directly on the 64 Buick crossmember. So I was able to use these 45-degree brass NPTs to -10, but if you notice, there's barely enough room. Like I can't even get a wrench on the -10 line that I have to put here, especially this side. So I actually had the motor mounts out and the motor jacked up, which still collecting tools for the shop. I don't have any jacks to lift anything on the lift, so it has to go down, jack it up with a jack. Nope. Calm. So now it's back mounted, and with these 69 Z28 mounts, they have the stoppers built into them, so the motor shouldn't rock too far to break these fittings off. And luckily they're not under pressure, but they're dash 10 and they're going to make a mess if I break one of these fittings off, but that's okay. It'll happen real fast if it can happen doing like the first burnout. It'll rock the motor hard enough and break it off, so it'll break on me, I think. It should. Whatever. Next problem. Well, that's actually all the problems really with the motor side. You can see how nice that intercooler is put in there. Barely clears the bumper, but clears. You can see how tight these bends ended up. We thought we had more room for the tire, but you run out of room really fast when you start running twin turbos, which I knew was going to happen, which is why I was against twin turbos from the start. But here we are. As for the transmission, I definitely don't have any video of this. We borrowed, which I need to give that back. I borrowed a core case from the transmission shop across the street, and we mocked it up there where we modified the factory cross member, which I did was really cut it and put it on an angle and then put some steel in to reinforce the frame a little bit, which this frame is very weak. Again, don't feel bad for this car. It didn't have much left in it. The frame is thin, and I shouldn't be doing any of this, but we are. What did I get on my forehead? Whatever. And it's mounted with the, what mount is this? This is an energy suspension poly mount, because these are the smallest mounts I think you can get. I had to absolutely destroy the floorboard to get this transmission to fit, but this whole floorboard, as you can see, is in really good shape. It's awesome. But we managed to get the express van dipstick to fit, which saves a couple bucks. For transmission lines, I went with these banjo lines. The reviews are good, so we're gonna run them. Let's do one more update. We talked to the owner of the car, and he wants to upgrade the brakes. He agrees that these are too scary to run, so we're gonna do a dual circuit brake upgrade, disc brake on the front and the back, and the 7.2-inch rear end, it's got to go. And he acquired a 12-bolt Chevy rear end. It was really gross. You can see it's rusty. At one point it was orange, at one point it was yellow. It's an open. There's no budget for this, so again, that's phase 2. I'm just going to get this car running, and then we're going to go with plan the next phase. But it's getting a 12 bolt, it's getting disc brakes all the way around, so I don't have to worry about that. One of the comments I just read on one of the videos was, too much chit chat, not enough swap. Yeah, that is me. I chit chat too much. So in a nutshell, that's where we are in this car. Wiring is going to come pretty soon. This is getting a Terminator X Max kit, so the tuning should be pretty straightforward, and the wiring harness is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to put a universal 22 circuit hot rod harness in it for now. I don't know what it's going to get for gauges. The Max kit has gauges. I've got the oil. I don't need to go on that. That's for future videos. So that's where we are. I got to get this car running because we're getting ready to do another California trip. I think I say that at the end of every video, that we're getting ready for a California trip, but we actually have a deadline in stone that we have to be in California by like the 24th of January. And this is actually going to get paused. Well, I'm going to try to get it in a running state before I pause it, but I got to start working on the vehicle to drive back to California with, which will probably be another video series.
So in the meantime, that's the update on the twin turbo Buick Skylark, which now has the swap in it. And the main things are pretty much figured out, but the little stuff is what kills these projects. So as always, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe, do whatever, interact with anything I think helps. From what I've heard, YouTube's algorithm is kind of in the trash when it comes to these small videos, so, and it's been so long since I posted that I've lost partnership with them anyways, so we're kind of starting over on the channel, and at this point I like to just be able to say I have a YouTube channel and I post. Come and watch my videos. Lots of stuff planned for this year, but starting with getting this thing off my lift. But I'll see everybody next time. I look forward to posting the next update, which may or may not be the Skylark. It might be. I might do the next update on this after the California trip. I almost have to, so stick around. I'll see everybody later. Thanks again.